What's up, guys? It's Automotive Anonymous, and I'm with one of my all-time favorite cars, the Cadillac CTS-V. This model is a 2011, and today we're going to do a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with the GPS, and final thoughts to decide, is this CTS-V worth your time and money? I borrowed this one from Twin Falls Subaru in Southern Idaho. It's under 40 grand, so I'll link it in the description if you're interested. Otherwise, let's get right into it. These things are insane. I've driven the Plaid, I've driven a ZL1, but I've somehow never driven a V car before. So I was really stoked at the opportunity to check this one out. When these came out, they started at about $65,000. The second gen that this falls in spanned from 08 to 2014, which the 2011s like this were actually the most popular. They sold 55,000 total, but only 1,000 sedan Vs. They sold several thousand coupe Vs and only a few hundred wagons, which are pretty darn cool if you ever see one in person. You could either get the 6-speed manual transmission, the TR66, or what this has, the 6-speed automatic hydromatic, as it's called. They weigh about 42 to 4,400 pounds, depending on how they're spec'd, with 54% weight on the front, 46 on the rear. Independent suspension, mag ride. They're pretty incredible. Gas tanks located on the passenger side, but you can get 14 city, 19 highway. So with an 18-gallon tank, you're road tripping for about 340 miles between fill-ups. Roughly 16 feet long, 5 feet tall, and 6 feet wide. It hugs the road pretty darn good with dual single tip exhaust. A 373 final drive ratio and just over 5 inches of ground clearance. They do pretty well. They turn a full circle in 38 feet. They have a 9.5 foot wheelbase, so they are a fairly big sedan, and they're pretty darn powerful. I'll show you under the hood soon, but they're rated to do a low 12 quarter mile stock, about 4 seconds 0 to 60, and they make 556 horse, 551 pound-feet of torque. And because they're supercharged for a couple grand, you could do headers, intake tune, pulley, and easily make 700 horse or more. This is basically the original Hellcat from a few years earlier. It does have a wheel stance that's staggered, so the rear is a little bit wider. The rims are 19x9 all around, but you get two 85, 35, 19 in the back with the 14.7 inch rotor, and a 255 40/19 with a slightly bigger 15 inch rotor in the front. Look how big that thing is with the V. But it's kind of windy here, guys, so let's hop in the car and see what else it has to offer. Door panel looks really good. You have a lot of leather and soft touch materials. The door cards are really nice. You can get a big meaty handle with all your power switches and mirror buttons and 2-stage memory seats. But then you get a baby slim door pocket right there. You get V on the door sill plate, rubberized mats and pedals, hood release, and then these are the options you have on your CTS-V. Power seats, leather. They take your eye up to the panoramic roof. And firing it up, stock exhaust. That's not too loud. You see the screen that pops out from the display, the dash. You have your cruise settings and traction control on the left. You have your audio and voice on the right. The horn sounds pretty good. And then the odometer, 61,800. You even have a boost gauge on this model. But the downside is it's the automatic. So you can downshift to drive. You can bump it over to manual mode and play musical gears with the paddle shifters behind it. But when you go up to reverse, the camera is decent. The quality is not fantastic. It is a 12-year-old GM. Otherwise, you have a lot of cool options up here on the radio, the heated seats, all physical buttons. You have a little bit of a storage tray back here with a 12-volt, electronic parking brake, cup holders that you can conceal with the black piano trim, and then you have a 2-stage center console with a 12-volt in there. It's not super deep because you have that transmission in the tunnel underneath the car. Otherwise, up top, you of course have your OnStar settings, you have your lighting, and then you have your slide for the shade and for the sunroof. You can see it's very darkly tinted, and your garage door openers. But let's hop in the back. Let's see how we fit behind ourselves in the CTS-V. Door panel looks basically the same and basically unused. You don't have any storage down there, which is kind of interesting. And you have an old school lock, kind of cool. Nothing on the door sill. The leather seats though look really fantastic from up here, but I don't see a place to drop them on this one. Sitting behind yourself at 5'11", you get a map pocket so you can be chauffeured in the back of your black Cadillac. You have ventilation, and because this isn't a new car, you have an ashtray so you can light up a cig and smoke it in the back seat. Just pop the window down a little bit so that you don't suffocate back here. Otherwise, you have some cup holders, child safety latches back here, and then a subwoofer with that Sony 10-speaker setup. It's a little bit snug back here, but it's really not that bad. The seats are extremely cushy and comfortable. Going around to the back, you have a button to pop it. You also have the remote. We're gonna use the remote this time. Maybe those shocks might need to be replaced because it didn't help very much, but it is very cold out. Back here you have about 13.5 cubic feet, and then you should have a tire mobility kit right there with a little bit extra storage. It does look like you could almost fit a wheel down here, but I think the wheels on the CTS-V are just a little bit too wide over the regular CTS. You have a handle to throw it down. If you're checking on the back seat, right passenger, door panel looks really familiar. You know what it looks like by now. The same leather seats, they look really good, kind of have a suede insert in the middle, and another map pocket for a second backseat driver. Riding shotgun, what do you get? You get the advertised Bose. You do get another door pocket, but you're just missing out on some of those extra controls that the driver would get. V on the door sill, manual options on the seat. You can see what they're asking right here. And then a locking glove box with a 2-level tray in the middle. I don't see any plugins, but there is a halogen incandescent light in there. I think we're waiting to see what's under the hood. That's the moment you've been waiting for, right guys? See what a supercharged V8 looks like. Pop the hood. And Cadillac's keeping it classy, but I think a lot of the owners would probably like to know what it looks like under here. You have a lot of black plastic that covers and kind of matches, but there is a crossbar for stability. You have the air intake that just kind of fits right into that mold. Induction to the throttle body, windshield washer reservoir, the battery on the passenger side with the oil dipstick, and you can actually fold up the V and see the top of that supercharger with the pulley on it. So it really, I don't know that it would be that much work to modify this and to put a smaller pulley on. Have a lot of fun. The 556 horse, 551 torque, these are a monster of an engine. This engine is also found in the same generation, or the 5th gen Camaro ZL1. Drop the hood. And my favorite part, we're going to teleport inside and take it for a drive. Initial driving impressions of the CTS-V. It does okay putting the power down. 556 horse, 551 pound-feet of torque. And you're cruising in style. It's really nice, a lot of leather and soft touch materials throughout. For being a GM product from 12 years ago, it still looks very nice. It's really cozy. Armrest has aged well, it's comfortable. Same thing with the center console, and physical buttons, and a clock. Whenever you have a vehicle that has a clock on the dashboard, you know you're doing pretty well. The steering wheel is really comfortable on this. It is a little bit on the thicker side, but I like that you have V at the bottom. Visibility is not too bad. The side mirrors, while they look really stylish from the outside, they are a little bit on the smaller side. But the rear view mirror does a great job cutting right through the center of the vehicle. 50 roll, what does it do? And it pulls really strong. You can see the boost gauge light up and that needle move. The 6-speed Hydromatic it does okay. It does feel like it's from this time period. It doesn't do as well as the modern 8, 9, 10 speed transmissions, but it still feels really good, and it's paired to this this engine pretty well. I do think I would rather have the TR 6060 manual though, especially on something like this. But with only 1,000 of these sold in 2011, you don't see them very often. And there were only a few hundred of the wagons sold. I think a 6-speed manual CTS-V wagon, that's the one I would personally want. But if I had, you know, a 5-6 car collection, I think a CTS-V would have to go somewhere in that lineup. Either this or the Chevy SS, but probably the Cadillac, because it's the pinnacle of these rear-wheel drive, big black GM sedans. Anyways, the driving characteristics of it are just fine. Those performance tires, you do get a little bit of road noise, but it's mostly muffled by how good the interior is on this vehicle. The materials have aged really well, even with that big panoramic moon roof. Before panoramic roofs were really that popular a dozen years ago. I'm sure it was closed most of the time. The dealer actually just had this one tinted because the previous owner took really good care of it, kept it very bone stock, and not even tint. Can you imagine that? Must have been wanting to be seen in the CTS-V. Anyways, we're gonna do a little bit of a light acceleration to get up to speed. I think it does okay. You stay safe with all the safety features it has, but that power, you stay away from the other cars getting out of its own way. The speakers in here sound fantastic, even for their age. They're really not bad, but I think when you're driving something like this, you're gonna pay a little bit less attention to the speaker quality, the materials. You're gonna be listening to that engine, to that supercharger whine. Anyways, guys, we're gonna get to our private road and we'll do a legit 0 to 60. As you guys can probably tell, some foreshadowing, it spins a lot, even on these sticky performance tires. It's like 30 degrees. Actually, it's now 42 degrees. It warmed up a little bit, but that's not enough to keep these tires with traction. Let's move to that. 0 to 60 in the CTS-V. We're gonna leave traction control on. Trust me, we're gonna need it for traction on a private road. Density altitude's 2,800 feet, so the vehicle is still down on power, probably about 4%. We'll do just a light brake rev, we'll modulate throttle, and then I'll verbalize what it did, 0 to 60. I'll show the GPS graph after. The bottom left shows without the foot rollout, the way it's rated by the magazine. And we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. Let's go. Lots of wheel spin, even with traction control on. True 0 to 60 came in at 4.98. Not bad, all things considered. Final thoughts of the CTS-V is it's big, it's powerful, it's fairly heavy, and it's a whole lot of fun. What do you guys think? Comment below. Would you buy one of these? Do you have one? Did you own one? They've been out for quite a while now, and they're still around. You can still get one of these. It's one of the ultimate sedans, whether it's the next gen or the CT5 Blackwing as it's currently called. It's basically an upgraded version all around with the 6.2 supercharged, but it was a good formula, so why not stick with it? I've owned an LS car before. I really like LS cars. I think GM does a fantastic job. On the Cadillac spec, you get a really nice, comfortable interior, so you can really have a lot of fun with it. But that power plant is just phenomenal. They really hit it out of the park with that one. So if you like this video, like the video. Subscribe if you want to bookmark my channel and watch more of my stuff. I post weekly. Most of it's new stuff, unless we get some cool stuff like this. And then comment below, because I want to hear your thoughts on what I should do next. But until next time, guys, take care.